Hey everyone, my name's Walter and we're back here with more stories I found on Reddit. Today we're going to be talking about dates. Reddit Dating Hell is the place to post your stories about horrible dates. They don't have to be first dates, but the worst ones usually are. I'm not really an expert on dates myself. My idea of a date is come on over and let's have some drinks. However, these ones should be bad enough that anyone can tell they're a disaster. So let's just get started with horrible dates from Reddit Dating Hell. Horrific New Year's Eve date. Of course, this was New Year's Eve 2012, so 2013 definitely started off unlucky. I, female, 23 at the time, had been talking to this guy, male, I want to say 25 to 26, that I met on OkCupid for about 2 years. I live in New York City, and this guy lived at the most 2 hours away in Connecticut, but always made excuses to not come visit. He either never had the money, time, or just had anxiety about the whole thing. I had incredibly low self-esteem at this time in my life, and I ignored every single red flag possible. We would talk on the phone several times a week, but I don't think he knew one thing about me. He would constantly ramble about whatever weed he was smoking, game he was playing, or record he was listening to. The only time the attention would ever be turned to me, it was for phone sex. He would say shit that he loved me, but I honestly feel like he couldn't even remember how to pronounce my name. So in fall 2012, he decided he wanted to go see Amanda Palmer perform Prince's Purple Rain for New Year's Eve. I love Prince, but Amanda Palmer is so meh, but whatever. Of course, since he wanted to go, and I was his love in New York City, we made plans. We each bought separate tickets, and I was getting excited to finally meet this dude. New Year's Eve morning is here. He calls me, telling me that his parents are mad at him that he's going to a concert in the city and not spending time with them. He's 26. The tone he's using with me makes me feel like this is all my fault for pulling him away and he might get in trouble. But alas, he gets on his train. Now, this is a big concert on New Year's Eve. Where are we going to dinner? What bars are we hitting up to? I have to look nice. I loved dressing nice when I was younger, so I had on a shiny dress, high heels, and jewelry. I did my makeup all morning. I head to Grand Central Station and wait. I see my date. He is in a band t-shirt about 3 times too small and jeans that are way too big. He looks completely disheveled. He barely smiles when he sees me or even says anything. Where I fucked up the most was agreeing to let him stay the night with me in my studio apartment. I guess I figured we'd be out all night having fun, or maybe the chemistry would hit and we'd stay in and have fun. But as soon as we got on the subway to drop his stuff off at my place, I knew neither was going to happen. The whole subway ride, he's deep breathing and shaking like it's the scariest thing in the world. People are looking. Yikes. At my place, he starts crying about how much he hates his life and how he shouldn't be here. He repeats this sentiment the entire night. I've completely lost my excitement, and we hadn't even left for the show yet. It's dinner time. At least I could enjoy a nice meal for the holiday somewhere. Nope. He insists we use his gift certificate to Subway. He gets a 6-inch ham sandwich and offers to share it with me. I have no clue why I went along with this. I don't even eat ham. I was just already so defeated, I suppose. At the concert, he is complaining how expensive drinks are. I went to go get a drink for myself, and I thought about leaving him there and going home. I almost did, but I guess I felt guilty about having his stuff at my house. The show went okay. Not even a peck on the cheek from the guy that jerked off on the phone with me for 2 years at midnight, but it's whatever. We are back at my apartment by 1 a.m., and I am just going to go to bed. This couldn't have been more of a bust. I set up my couch for him, and I pass out. I wake up around 8 a.m. New Year's Day to my date sitting in a chair and staring at me. He then tells me that he's just been awake all night, sitting there in silence. He was watching me sleep. He then starts telling me how he just wants to die over and over. He's crying, and the look in his eyes is extremely unsettling. I honestly feel completely in danger at this point. I walked him as fast as I can to my train station and told him how to figure out getting home. He texted me sorry a million times about an hour later, and I just straight up blocked him. I didn't hear from him for about 2 years till he messaged me on Facebook how sexy I looked that night and that he should have fucked me. He sent me pictures of his dick and I blocked him again. I will never know what the hell any of this means. I don't really know what this means either. It is awful though. You can just feel the disappointment sinking in. I've probably been watching too much about Chris Chan lately because I was just ready for the date to be to McDonald's. Subway to buy a 6-inch ham sandwich with a gift certificate might actually be worse though. Hey, off topic, but does anyone remember this app? Bring your kids' meal to life. Kids can play the Jared's Pants Dance game. Well, that's certainly aged well. About as well as Touched, the Jerry Sandusky story. Third date in, he starts yelling at me and says he wants to punch me in the head. Well, I'll make this quick. I just told my work colleagues about the date I had Saturday night, and they were like, "What the fuck, you should have called us to come get you." So I've been talking casually and seeing this guy. I'll call him B for Butthole. We go out for dinner and go to an arcade afterwards. I drove in, met at B's place, then he drove us into town for food. Dinner was good. We went out afterwards to an arcade. This is where it starts getting weird. 3 things happened that night that made me feel unsafe and uncomfortable. First thing that happened was he was explaining something to me and I kept jokingly butting in, guessing the outcome. I know I do this, and I'm working on not doing it. I get excited and try and guess what they will say next. Annoying, I know, saws. He just loses it and starts yelling at me to shut the fuck up, that it annoys the fuck out of me and I don't want to talk to you anymore. I get real quiet and just sit in his car feeling really weird. We get out of the car and I'm shaken up a bit. We walk into the shopping center and I tell him, "Oops, I gotta go back to the car and grab my mask." He then proceeds to tell me, "What the fuck, how could you forget to grab it? Now we have to walk all the way back. I feel like punching you in the head." At this stage I said, "Calm down, I just gotta get it." At this stage I'm thinking, how do I get out of this situation? My phone is near flat and my bag is in his car. Looking back, I should have grabbed my bag and legged it. I tell him I have to go to the toilet quickly before playing games, so we find a toilet, and he tells me he will wait out near the doors, which is a fair way away, and it was busy, so I thought I'd just quickly follow him and let him know not to go anywhere far because I don't have my phone to contact him. He then proceeds to scream through his mask at me, "Go to the fucking toilet, what are you doing?" I'm done by this stage. I'm off him and I want to go. Again, all my stuff is in his car, and I felt I just needed to play nice and get through this evening, even though I was on the verge of crying. By this stage, I'm just really quiet and responding nicely to things B is saying. Nothing else bad happened the rest of the night. I know I can be annoying at times, but I don't feel yelling and swearing at someone is a nice thing to do at all. I told him we don't get along and to not see each other again. He said it made him sad, but accepts it. I ignored red flags a few times early on, thinking people have shitty days, and I give people way too many chances. This time I've ended it pretty early and for some good reasons. Be safe out there. So he was okay for 2 dates and then suddenly this? Yeesh. I know people who are abusive have to show it eventually, but this guy sure didn't last very long. If someone can't even keep it together during a few dates, I can only imagine what it would be like being around him all the time. Super stinky dude complained about my clumpy lashes. I had a date years and years ago with someone I met online. He was a bit weird but seemed like a genuinely nice guy, and he lived in the same city. After a month or so he asked me out and I agreed. I told my family where I went and with whom, etc. Safety first, and we met up. I wanted to leave right away. He was stinky, like really bad old body odor smell. His breath also smelled like pestilence. There was visible plaque on his very yellow teeth and his clothes were stinking too. His hair was a weird mix of oily yet also dry with a lot of dandruff sprinkled on top. I didn't want to be mean though, and we were hanging out. It was summer, so we were outside. I noticed when we talked that he produced a lot of spit, and I am super easily grossed out by saliva, but there was no chance I would get near this guy anyway, spittle or not. After a few hours of talking and taking a walk, I said bye. I endured a super stinky hug and went on my merry way. A few minutes after we parted, he sent me an SMS. Yes, it was that long ago, and complained that I didn't kiss him and said, "Your lashes were clumpy from your mascara," and he didn't like that. Excuse me? Dude, we were in an open space and your smell was barely bearable. You were in no position to talk about clumpy lashes. When I confronted him about his smell, he said that in his opinion, people don't need to bathe or brush their teeth because the body cleans itself, and that I just thought he stinks because I am not used to natural smells. I stopped talking to him. I wonder if he still stinks to this very day, or if he grew up to realize that personal hygiene is not a waste of time and money. I've got to feel like when you're going on a date, you should probably make yourself more presentable than usual. Like if normally you weren't going to take a shower, maybe you should do it in that case. You know, so you don't show up with a big grease stain on your shirt like Donald Morrison. I cannot fathom criticizing a girl's makeup after a date, by the way. That's a weird move that some of these guys do. Usually I try to cover at least one where it's a guy complaining about a woman, but I guess I just didn't find any. It's not a very active subreddit right now. That being said, one more story for today. He peed off the balcony. I was introduced to someone through a friend, and after chatting for a bit on the night, we exchanged numbers and he promised to message me. He seemed like a really genuine guy, and he was a few years older than some of the men I normally go for. However, I was willing to see where it went. He had a really good job, and we liked a lot of the same things. To cut a long story short, he seemed to me, at least, to be driven, and he knew what he wanted from life. He was, I guess, the sophisticated, slightly older male, and he seemed really keen to go out with me. Our first date went well. We met up quickly for coffee and a light meal on my lunch break from work. He was really passionate about his job and what he did, so I was really fascinated by that. He asked if I'd like to go out again, and I said yes. We ended up meeting up for a drink after work on the Friday night. Again, it went well. He was really charming and funny, and any reservations I had about dating someone slightly older than my normal type went away, as he was very easygoing and he put me at ease. A week or so later, he rings me and asked if I'd have dinner at his house the next evening. I say yes, and he texts me his address and says that he looks forward to seeing me. The night started out well. The conversation was good, he was funny, and everything felt natural. I didn't notice it at the time, but he was drinking a lot. It may have been nerves that made him drink more, but I sort of nursed my glass of wine while we chatted and had nibbles, while he downed 2 or 3 beers in the space of half an hour. It only increased as the night wore on. I had maybe 3 glasses of red total, while he polished off a bottle of wine himself and then all the extra beers on the side. His behavior starts to change slightly, I guess from the alcohol he had consumed. He became loud and quite obnoxious, talking over me or starting on a different subject while I was talking, clearly not taking an interest in anything I said. About halfway through dinner, he announces, and I quote, "I need to piss, hold on." The bathroom was like right there, not that far from the dining room, but no, he opened the sliding door and walked a few steps onto the balcony, unzipped his pants and starts going. He was standing not that far away from me and he just let it go and peed off the second floor. He even looked behind him and gave me a goofy half-drunk smile while he did it. I was like kind of disgusted and I didn't know where to look or what to do. He came back in all smug and proud of himself, sat right back down and finished his meal, didn't wash his hands or anything. I excused myself and went to the bathroom as soon as we had finished eating. I quickly called my sister and asked if she would ring me in a bit with some fake event so that I could make an excuse to leave. I then called a taxi so that I could be picked up in half an hour's time, as my car was at the mechanics that weekend. I felt bad for faking an event, but he was really starting to creep me out and make me feel uncomfortable, and I didn't know what else to do. Continuing on with his charm offensive the next night, he called me and said that he hoped to breed me and that he wanted to rut with me. I told him how uncomfortable I had been at his house when he peed off the balcony and that hearing that made me want to gag. I blocked him and asked my friend why the fuck she thought we would be a good match, but the friend was unaware of this side of him. Oh god, not the word breed. How do we always end up back here on my channel? Okay, obligatory Lucas post. Whether or not Bernie wins, we're going to need another foot soldier on the ground. In comes Lucas, wanting to breed. There's Mr. Steal Your Chick, 2 steps behind Comrade Lucas, as Lucas's wife and he who would be king is about to meet Queen Werner. In comes Lucas, wanting to breed. Of course, we know it wasn't Lucas in this story because he had a job. So we learned something today. You probably shouldn't piss right in front of your date while she's eating. Doesn't sound like she enjoyed it. As for the word breed, feel free to use it in this way if you want to sound like Comrade Luke. Make sure to let me know how you feel about the balcony pissing. But that's about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say, make sure to let me hear it in the comments. If you have any dating stories you'd like to share, you should let me hear those as well. There seems to be a lot less of these during COVID, believe it or not. If you're new here and want more similar content, consider subscribing. It really helps me out. And now it's time to shout out my amazing patrons who help me by supporting me directly. Thank you so much. Jimmo, Noe Blue, Levon, Maxo11X, Chris Sturman, MDB3000, Jenny Cook, Amanda Gillies, Cho, Daniel De La Pena, Deborah Douglas, Dr. A, Finn Yee, Hannah, Horatio T, Invader Jill, Justin Godsey, Kitty Sparkles, Clipper, Ouroboros, Rob Sop, Sandyman, Spoonie the Rogue, V stands for, William Ash, Jacob K, Camper Supreme, Megan Breeze, Psychic Kumquat, Alex Anakin, Daisy, Dollface Sinner, Knit1 Code 2, Lil Spoon, Ben, Esperova, Francois Tremblay, Ms. Mayhem, Myopa Game, Nick Lucarelli, and Petulant Panda. Thank you all again, it's really helpful. I think I have an immediately upcoming video that actually might be about Elliot Rodger. I feel like things are safe for that subject again, and St. Elliot was how I got my first 1,000 subscribers on my first channel. It's a pretty good subject. Just let me read through My Twisted World one more time. Also, there might be a Lucas video for Halloween, and I'll see about streaming, but no promises there. Have a great day, everyone, and try to hold in your bouts of anger until after the third date, right?